In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to A Place at the Table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
Welcome to A Place at the Table, where we critique the bad but also point to the good. I'm comparing Nigerian hospitality services to those abroad, and I'm saying, mind the gap.
So good to have you back, Kate.
Thank you, Yinka.
I will be spotlighting the recent law mandating landlords to insure their properties and setting out possible policy amendments. Policy must be made to measure, or they are a bad fit.
Indeed, Yinka. I'm giving a first-hand review of Ogun State as the model of a user-friendly face of tourism and saying that other states need to take a note.
Zumah, National Tourist
Coordinator.
While we're at it, I will be saying that we ought to take note of how lives are protected abroad using CCTV footage and stop the bloodshed at home.
You're onto something, Elsie. At times, imitation isn't just flattery, but common sense. Imagine a revival that comes when faith is matched with system that build people. I'll be talking about healing the system.
You heard them. Here at the table, we don't just do copy and paste, but made to measure. Keep listening, you just might find your fit. Hospitality services in the UK and the US are renowned for their professionalism, customer-first mentality, and high service standards. Staff are trained to be polite, responsive, and proactive. In restaurants, hotels, and other service businesses, guest satisfaction is paramount. Complaints are typically handled quickly and respectfully. For instance, if a customer is unhappy with a meal, it is common practice to offer a replacement or discount without argument. Businesses in these countries understand the power of reviews and repeat customers, and they go out of their way to ensure positive experiences. In contrast, hospitality services in Nigeria, while warm and often personal, can fall a bit short in professionalism and service etiquette. Many businesses, particularly local or family-owned ones, suffer from a lack of formal training among the staff. It's not uncommon for customers to be met with a defensive or indifference when lodging complaints. For example, a dissatisfied guest who raises an issue with a meal may be ignored, blamed, or even asked to pay again for a replacement. This approach often reflects a gap in customer service culture rather than a lack of goodwill. Moreover, customer feedback and reviews are not always taken seriously. In Nigeria, in short, you might be met with a court case. While some high-end hotels and restaurants in major cities are working to improve service standards, many others still treat guests as if they're doing them a favor, not as valued customers. Ultimately, while Nigeria has the advantage of cultural warmth and friendliness, the hospitality sector still has room to grow in terms of professional etiquette, customer satisfaction policies, and responsiveness, key areas where the UK and the USA currently lead.
There's a part of us that, comes with this, I don't care, I give it to you as it is, which you see sometimes with service, providers. You go to a store, you go to a mall and all that, and then the lady or
nonchalant,
nonchalant talks to you. She doesn't connect the fact that the
your
business
experience
is directly connected to our salary. And so I see it sometimes that's the default setting that you find with most service providers, the individuals who are there. And the way to bridge that or to mitigate against that default setting is essentially training. So that if you have a business, you have a service, to make sure that you do a lot of training. And I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs who started a business, and they have staff who are customer facing. And they always have this challenge. But what I've seen is they do some form of training, customer relations and all that, and what to do. You know, it'd be nice, ask the customer, how are you, how's your day, and things like that. But what I see happen is that you will usually get the right response probably 3 months in. They will do the right thing. They will see them actually really change in their language and all that. But give it some few months, they go back to default.
Yeah.
That's why I talk about the fact that there's something that is driving them that says, okay, go.
There's something arrogant about
that just goes back. They just go back to default. So my recommendation, which I've given to the entrepreneurs I work with, is you're going to have to do that training many times. In a year. Don't just do one and say, you just check up the box and say, I'm done. No. Do it as many times as you can. If you can do it once every 3 months, do. If you can't afford that, do it twice a year. But just keep reiterating it until it sinks into these people that customer service and good customer relation equals productivity, equals my salary being paid.
For someone who operates in the learning and development space, my company offers trainings to organizations. And then when we talk to people in the hospitality space, the first thing they will tell you is the attrition rate is high. They don't particularly see the need to invest in training someone who might not even show up to work tomorrow. And then we'll tell them that, okay, you train them and they leave. But how about if you don't train them and they stay? Yeah. It reflects poorly on your organization. Like, it's very important, but then again, it is what it is. Like Yinka said, we don't have a culture of excellence. And there's a certain kind of aggression that an average Nigerian has. You know, I went to a state, I'm not going to mention the state. My first interaction with the front desk person, I was shocked. The hotel I was staying at, it's one of the best hotels in the state capital, very close to the government house. I went to the supermarket. My interaction with the waiting staff, at the point I was like, they were like, oh, it's cultural to them. That's how service is offered there.
How? With anger?
With anger.
Why is service with a smile?
At the point I thought they were going to beat me. I'm like, okay. This is not for me.
Tell me this state after. So
I will. I definitely will. Also, a lot of service providers don't know why they are in business. They miss out the fact that the reason they are in business is to serve their customers. So they engage customers like they are their opponents.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's so many issues in the customer service space, but we're trying to bridge the gap as much as we can, but there is still a whole lot more to be done. But I need hospitality people to understand that as much as there is high attrition rates, it's also very important to periodically, because when it comes to training, particularly for soft skills training, it's a reorientation. I'm
going to look at it from two perspectives. The first is just general and just the role that service plays in our economy. You see, we think economy is about money, but as Elon Musk would say, economy money is like a database for products and services. But the core thing that drives every economy is labor, right? Whether it's production or service. When you look at our country, one thing that we are opportune to do outside oil is service. We don't produce anything. We don't have we don't have manufacturing plants. We are service providers. Labor in itself is not appreciated. Right? At the end of the day, it's about the reason why it was in America is because America is a competitive market. Yeah. Massively. If I show up to your hotel in New York and you don't treat me well, I won't come back. So there's a reason for me to make sure that I invest in my staff because I want people to keep coming back. There's a lot, but how many hotels do we have that are good? You want to be looking for the fact that you got in is the one.
It's a waste.
Why do you think the flight attendants treat you the way they treat you? Because the fact that you even get a flight.
Don't go there.
There's no competition. So when there's no competition, people tend to do whatever they want to do. So if there's proper competition, if there's proper compensation, if I have the skills, if I deliver, because service takes a lot of mental capacity. Like you need to be. I was with a makeup artist. My friend was a makeup artist, and she was asking me what will make me stand out, and I'm like, it's your brain. It's not your market. It's not that, you go and do makeup for one celebrity. No. It is you equipping yourself with so much information that when you're doing makeup and you're having conversation with her, she's having an experience and she wants to call you back.
That's right. An experience.
It's like, so don't go and brush your makeup skills. Go and brush your mental skills. Go and learn, read books, understand finance, understand different things. So when you're talking to somebody, the person is engaged.
Elsie?
I think that is also how we look at those kind of services and the respect we give to it. I remember going to Mauritius and I met a man who had been in the hospitality business, just his own head in the cleaning service and all, and he's been doing that for over 30 years. And that's a career. There's nothing wrong with it. He's earning well, it's good. But here, people who you typically see in that space are transitioning. It's just for a while. They're not there to make the business grow or whatever. It's just they're giving me the whatever salary that ensures that minimum. I survive for now until I get something good, right? That's one. On the other hand, I don't even think you need to talk about UK and US, because sometimes when you talk about it, it looks like it's so unattainable, right? I think on this table I've mentioned my experience in Kenya, where I got in, one of my activity was very early in the morning. I think most of the activities you will get in Kenya happens very early in the morning. And they were telling me, oh, we can pack your breakfast to go. I'm like, oh wow. Because they understand that this is what it is, and they have to ensure that their clients also get that comfort that they need, because this is how the schedule is. So there you see a lot of thoughts. I mean, Morocco, you want to talk about the what you get in Marrakesh, right? So it's not a Western thing. And I also think we should look at it from organizational culture. I have gone to restaurants in Lagos that I had a bad experience, and I've gone to the ones that are great. Just yesterday, I was in one in Ikeja GRA. My friend didn't like his food, and he just mentioned, oh, this food is...
They changed it.
They changed it. They were ready to change it. This was jollof rice. And he was like, this is not the taste of jollof rice. The chef came out and changed it, right? So
yeah, but who manages those systems?
Again,
That's not
so,
good.
and these two systems I mentioned were not Nigerian owned.
They are not.
You know, so...
End of discussion.
Okay, I was not going to go there, but I'm glad you did. We've heard that the customer is always right. The question is, have we put it into practice?
This is where the rubber hits the road. Theory meets practice. As you said, Kate, mind the gap. If you have been following the news lately, you must have heard about a certain law mandating landlords to insure their properties. It stems from the signing into law of the National Insurance Industry Reform Act. Section 76, subsection 1 states that every public building shall be insured against the hazards of collapse, fire, earthquake, storm, flood, and such other hazards. It goes further to say that insurance policy shall cover the legal liabilities of the owner and the occupier of premises for loss or damage to property, or bodily injury or death suffered by any user of the premise and third parties. Subsection 5 defines a public building as a tenement house of more than one floor, hostel, a building occupied by a tenant, and any building in which members of the public have access for the purpose of obtaining educational or medical service, or for the purpose of recreation or transaction of business. So it basically just covers everything. Now, there are obvious pros and cons to this mandate. Insuring against fire, flood, death, and full legal liability is not just for the protection of the landlords, it's also for the protection of the tenants. This mandate will also spur competition among insurance companies, with the customers ultimately benefiting. But there is also the very real concern that it can lead to increase of rents as landlords pass on the cost of premiums to tenants. This is where the government can come in. They can do one, limit the extent to which insurance premiums can be transferred to tenants by capping rent increases attributable to insurance cost and rent control regulations. An example is the Lagos State Tenancy Bill, which is currently in the Lagos State Assembly. 2, phased implementation over the next 2 to 3 years to ease the burden. 3, tax reliefs for landlords equivalent to their insurance premiums, or provisions of premium subsidies targeting landlords of low-income areas. In addition to this, instead of negotiating separately, landlords can come together as an estate or group of estates to pool resources and buy insurance at discounted rates. As I've emphasized many times, reforms are good, but they must also have a human face.
I wish this law came out like 10 years ago, because I had a fire. I was a tenant in a building, And the landlord actually blamed me. I lost everything. I had just the clothes on my back. If you Google, you'll still see it there. 2015, June 26, 2015. And started coming after me. And I'm like, I lost everything. Your building, okay, it's the roof. You still have your house. But I've lost everything. And even it went into my neighbor's house, just with the adjoining wall. And they came after me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't even have insurance. But now I know better to insure my home and the content. So this law is something, is a law that its time has come. And I, to all the reasons you alluded and listed on point, because there is a fear that the tenant will end up bearing the brunt of the premium. You can't put it past the landlords. They will just say, should they say, I should insure you. You are the one. Not forgetting that they own the property as well. So it's beneficial to, it's a symbiotic relationship and it shouldn't be made to look parasitic. So I'm all for it. And yes, I can't add to what you have said. And of course, let me just also say that going for group insurance always brings down the cost.
Yeah, so I'll just speak to one of the things you said the government can do, which is number one, limit the extent to which insurance premiums can be transferred to tenants. I mean, there has been ongoing conversation around the increment of rents. Yep. Yes, we know that economy is not great. It's
not smiling.
But you cannot blame tenants for what is happening in the economy. Like, we can't be the one bearing the brunt of everything. So I'll just speak to it from an investment point of view, where in the past, people understood that when you're building a house and you, when you spend money to build a house to have tenants, it's not a return that comes back in a year or 2 years or 3 years. But you then see now that people go into real estate and expecting short-term return when it's supposed to be a long-term investment. So I'm using this opportunity to maybe speak to those that are going into real estate, especially to rent to people, to also understand that they need to do their projections for a very long time. It's supposed to be 10, 20, 30 years, right? So you don't expect that you then begin to get all the money that used to build a house in 1 year. And then because of that, you're giving the tenants ridiculous prices to pay. So I'm just using this opportunity because most times that's where their mentality and mindset is coming from. And that's why this cost would always be pushed to the tenant because they want to make their money back in real time. So please understand the kind of investments you're going to. There are short-term investments in real estate and there are long-term investments. Understand it so that you're not stressing poor Nigerians like you, because really we just have to have a roof over our heads, right?
We are generally an underinsured country. And I like the fact that there's a new wave, new drive to get more people insured. Our insurance is largely inshallah and and it is not my portion in Jesus' name. But I like the fact that, God forbid, we are moving away from that to taking practical actions. We need a new tenancy law in Nigeria, particularly in Lagos, and I like the fact that there is a new one in the works. But then it's not just enough to have new laws, it is also important to enforce, because even the current ones...
Let's not have suggestion of laws.
The current ones are not being enforced. So we need to actively enforce the ones we have, because an average tenant in Lagos is groaning and complaining. In the past 1 or 2 years, everybody's rent has been increased by more than 100%. Pretty much everybody. You talk like, oh, you are moving. Oh, my landlord said, oh, sorry.
If I can't pay, I can't be going.
I like I like the tax relief for landlords equivalent to their premium, because that way they don't even have an excuse to pass it on to the tenant at all. So it's a call to the policymakers, to make that a thing. I had a ridiculous experience recently. The landlord of one of the properties I was renting was trying to pass on the land use charge to me as a tenant. I saw the agreement.
It's what they do.
Okay.
It was in the agreement.
It was in the agreement.
Wow.
A lot of people
don't read
those things.
And they will
but
sign.
For me, I read every single line.
The last landlord that I tried to do that, I said,
like, is it my property?
No.
Why should I be the one paying the land?
You're not the one to pay. I can tell you that straight off.
I'm not going to sign this agreement. If you don't want to list, please, I'm even tired of engaging with you. So landlords will try to exploit the tenants. So it's important for tenants also to be mindful of their rights and know what it is that is expected of them as a tenant, and also the expectations and responsibility of the landlord.
We can come up with different policies, which we always do. As long as it's not enforced, the people will not feel it. It's crazy. As a young person, I feel like this is the hardest to be a young person in our entire generation.
I agree.
It's the hardest because two things. First of all, we're faced with social media pressure. When your classmates and you guys grow up together, you see him in Bali and in Monaco and he's posting champagne and you're asking yourself, what did I do?
Am I?
Not with the same book.
You say, am I?
You know what I'm saying? It's like this that. I mean, your time as a young person, you didn't have to experience.
No, we did not. Yinka, did we?
Once you leave your classmates in primary school, you probably never see them again. You don't even know what's going on with them. But we know what's going on.
Run into them somewhere.
There's that, and then there's the whole pressure of like the demands that young men have to meet to be able to be respected in society. There's that. And then there's also the fact that the government is not playing a better role to make sure that there is connectivity within the cities, right? So even if I'm staying in Ekpe, if there's a road that brings me to town and back,
you don't have to move.
I might not be able to spend
as much.
I might not be able to pay for VI, but I can pay for Ekpe 2 million because there's roads.
Or a train.
Or a train. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like we can't just blame the landlords, right? We have to put all this structures in place to support everything. Like I said, our problem in Nigeria is we're not focusing on one thing and not understanding the fact that everything is connected.
Yes.
And so if you
or
finish
you
this
can
one,
make it connect.
Yeah, if you finish this one and this one is not happening, what you've done here is a waste of time. So I feel like as we're bringing in these policies, we should also back it up with other infrastructure and ideas that will make it stand.
Reforms without a human face surely begs the question, in which name are we carrying out the reforms in the first place?
I hear you, Yinka. As kids advocates, you can't go wrong when you put the customer first. Here is an example of how it's done. Recently, I had the pleasure of visiting Abeokuta with my children as tourists, and the experience was delightful. From the newly reopened Olumo Rock, we didn't get to climb because it was closed for cleaning. The number of visitors the reopening attracted was underestimated. To the Egba Museum, where we learned the history of the Egba people and met the chiefs. To the Kuti Heritage Museum, where the legacy of Mrs. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti and her family was preserved. The Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, where we learned about the highs and lows of President Olusegun Obasanjo's life. The first church in Nigeria, the Adire Market, where we learned about the history of Adire and how it is made and the different types. And of course, we visited the famous Ofada spots, which happened to be the highlights of the trip for the children. This advocacy is not about the places themselves, but about the importance of preserving our histories and legacies and acknowledging the Ogun State government's intentionality when it comes to tourism. From fixing the road that leads from the train station to the city, to taking responsibility for the heritage site and building a whole tourism ecosystem around it that not just educates, but inspires in a fun way. Nigeria boasts incredible cultural, historical, and natural treasures, yet they remain largely untapped due to a lack of strategic investment and focused development. Tourism, when developed with a purpose, is a powerful engine for economic diversification and job creation. It creates opportunities for local artisans, tour guides, small business owners, and hospitality staff. It instills pride in our history and culture, not just for foreigners, but for Nigerians themselves. To other state governors, I urge you to look at the Ogun State's model and act. It is not enough to possess heritage sites. You must invest in building the infrastructure, creating the experiences, and fostering the ecosystem that make them accessible and appealing. It's time to address our fading sense of national identity and preserve our rich heritage.
You said they should look at the Ogun State model. Maybe we should rephrase that. Say just look at the Ogun State Olumo Rock model. Let's be clear.
So beyond the Olumo Rock model, yes. Beyond
that's what I'm saying. Ogun State has so many issues, right? But in terms of tourism, I mean, one of my best childhood memories was still in this Olumo Rock. So Olumo Rock has always been maintained, right? I can remember vividly, I was really small. You see all the hosts when they tell you the history of how people hid in during crisis and all that. So they've done it better. It's amazing. People or states need to, yes, copy Ogun State model when it comes to tourism and Olumo Rock and everything they're doing there and the structure or infrastructure that they're building around it. However, trust me, Ogun State.
Oh no, this advocacy is limited to the tourism
Yeah,
aspect.
so that's why I'm just
Ogun
talking
State
about that line to say that maybe just tweak it a bit.
Why are you facing her? Do you want to beat her?
Yeah, no,
I understand. I understand. See,
This is what we're talking about customer service. Don't make it about you. Don't take it personal,
I'm not taking it personal. I've just been waiting for her to finish.
He told you.
So Ogun State is so amazing. Is that what you're saying?
No. I think you're missing the point when you
No,
say
I'm not
that.
missing the point. It's just a line. I said no. When you say that, it now looks like they can just. There's a word you used. What was it? Your Andy when he said we can't let them off the hook just easily like that, right? When it comes to Ogun State, right? Olumo Rock. It's not just Olumo Rock. Even the Obasanjo's library.
What I'm
there's
saying,
a lot that happens there. I agree.
tourism in Ogun State is the model I'm talking about, and that is the core of this advocacy.
Ogun State has been very
So you don't want to get my own point. I got your points, but you don't want to get my point.
Please, let's get Elsie's point. Mr. Ogun State,
Go ahead, Ogun State.
Can you let
Let me
Elsie
talk.
speak?
You know,
No,
it
go
has
ahead,
finished
go
now.
ahead.
Have you finished?
Go ahead.
So, Zumah, thank you for the advocacy. And thank you for focusing
Ogun State Tourism Coordinator.
on Ogun State. Because Ogun State has been very intentional over the last couple of years in really trying to boost the tourism industry, and it's not just Olumo Rock alone. You know, there's of course there's a whole lot.
What else? Give us something else. Apart from,
Museum.
You know,
she gave 3.
one of the biggest tourism events, for instance, in Ogun State today is the Ojude Oba.
And Foke made
whatever.
an advocacy on
Yes,
it. And
you know,
then
so
about the
we
infrastructure
don't-
issue that happened.
Yes.
This is what I'm saying. There's a lot of issues already.
Exactly, and we're solving those issues
Okay.
because you'll find out that one of the things that we raised about the infrastructure in terms of access. Now, you know, the road. Okay, so there's the issue around the road leading from the rail from the train station has been done.
I'm glad because it was
it was
bad.
one of the things that we raised
It was
at
bad,
this
but
table.
nice.
Okay, so we're doing. There's a whole lot of infrastructure around boosting tourism in Ogun State, and I think that we need to give kudos to the governor, Dapo Biodun, as well. I want to say that we need to be very intentional in trying to ensure that we have many more heritage centers in Nigeria. Today, we only have 2 UNESCO heritage sites in Nigeria. The Osun Osogbo Grove, fantastic. I was there a couple of weeks ago, and it was fantastic. I felt like, gosh, I mean, this is Nigeria, you know. And then I think the Sukor landscape also. We need more heritage sites in Nigeria, and for the reason that if we can get that UNESCO kind of approval on it, it boosts tourism. It also boosts income and funding, you know, towards those places. So I want to say that, you know, governors should, because we've advocated it at this table many times about the glam economy, the tourist potential, the potential for it to increase our GDP and bring a lot of, you know, economic employment and also boost, you know, the economy of the state. And I think that taking the Ogun State model, copying the Ogun State model, as you have said, is the right direction to take.
I mean, I'm going to align with what I said earlier about labor. I think for me, it's the opportunities that this thing creates. That's more important to me. The fact that people within that community are able to have jobs and offer some kind of service to keep them engaged. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have in Nigeria that we're not really taking advantage of yet. Every state has something unique. You go to Zaria, there's you know, there's a couple of cultural things that are going on there. You go to Kano, you go to Enugu, you go to South, you go to my village. That's what we call the Wantam, where it's masquerade dance on top of the building, right?
Okay.
And people come from all over the world to come watch them, right? So I feel like once state governors move their eye from this allocation that they make money from and really understand
or use the allocation well.
or use the allocation well properly, we have everything. Nigeria is the most, I told Katie, Nigeria is the best place to live in the world. It's the best place to live because every other thing already works. The only thing that's not working for us is our governance. If we have that in place,
we have the perfect weather.
We have everything to make us wealthy, even within our shores, even within your small village. If you really look at it properly, there's something. I mean, Opobo is literally in front of the ocean. But look at all the houses in front. It's trash. It's my place. I'm talking about it. It's trash. That could be something that people would fly all over the world. I mean, we're talking about an economy that is driven by remote work, which means you can work from anywhere in the world. That is a whole industry that is being bumped up that people are not even thinking about. That's my case.
Okay, for me, it's what you said about local businesses thriving, the artisans, tour guides, and I'm just looking back at my experience because I just came back from a cruise, if you all know. And I went to Jamaica. Like, there are less than 3 million people there, but they have their act together. Like, there's nothing really there. It's their rum they're selling and they're doing all sorts of fun activities, but it's a small, less than
an experience.
And the way they're so organized, as soon as we berthed at the port, the buses were there, with where you're going. Or if you don't want to go on any tour, you can just roam around. You saw me eating their beans and rice, and it's like, but why can't we not? And even to my state, Cross River State, I wish and I pray we get back our glory of
the
carnival. I used to have people calling me from Germany, like, we're coming for now. It's lackluster.
They're busy aligning with the center.
Yes, the carnival.
It wasn't as good.
We have so many tourist sites, so many. The Kwa Falls, there's so much money in this thing. If only we'll just make it right, and then now the flights have even reduced. Before we used to have flights going there every time. So please let's do more for ourselves. We have so much around us in Nigeria, so much.
Learning is a product of observing, deducing, and implementing. In other words, see and do.
In which case, we not only need more eyes on the ground, but to make use of what eyes we already have, right? Last month, Netflix released a 90-minute documentary titled The Truth About Jussie Smollett, which reopens a messy story from 2019. The actor had been the victim of a disturbing hate crime. He was later accused of faking the crime in collusion with 2 Americans of Nigerian heritage. Now, the documentary leaves the viewers to judge who is telling the truth about this case. But beyond the drama, one thing stood out for me: how the Chicago police pieced the timeline together. They did not capture the incident itself on camera. Instead, they pulled camera clips from nearby streets, shops, and a taxi and lined them up and used basic video tools to follow 2 men across the city. Now, the evidence could be shown, shared, and tested. That clarity moved the case forward. This is the heart of my point today. Technology made the investigation stronger. Shareable CCTV footage plus simple analysis created a clear trail that people could understand. It wasn't magic. It was organization, access, and the discipline to follow the video wherever it led. Amnesty International reports that over 10,000 Nigerians have been killed in violent attacks in just the last 2 years. The number should stop us in our track. Each death is a name, a family, and a story. How many cases can the public see explained with the same clarity? A credible video with a timeline that shows what happened, where it happened, and who moved where and when. Since 2009, both Lagos State and the federal government have announced CCTV projects. You hear city cameras, traffic cameras, smart city plans, and command centers, with billions of naira allocated. But here are my questions. Are these cameras truly installed and working today? If yes, how quickly can officers pull and analyze clips when something happens? Are they trained to turn footage into a simple, court-ready story that brings justice and deter the next attack? To confront this bloodshed, we need effective technology, officers who know how to turn footages into facts the public can see. If Chicago police can stitch a story from scattered clips, Nigeria can use technology to save lives and restore security as well.
Came about this documentary a few days ago. It's interesting how the Chicago police, who, by the way, have a very bad reputation,
Absolutely.
were able to stitch, videos together to try to show that, Smollett staged everything. And at the end of the day, when you look at that documentary, it shows how technology helped, but also technology created confusion, because at the end of the day, you had a video where people couldn't even confirm whether they're seeing a white guy or a black guy. Anyway, that apart, it doesn't take away the fact that CCTV is very, very important. Now, I've looked at the cases or the instances where we've seen it work, especially in other climes. The UK, for instance, is one of the cities in the world where you have the most CCTVs. You have China, you have Dubai, and places like this where there's a whole lot of concentration. So I think that it's very important to have that. Lagos, by the way, has a command center of all the CCTV. The challenge for me is you cannot cover every blade of grass. It's not possible to be able to do that, whether it's government controlled or not. You can't do that. So like the models we've seen in some of these other countries, you have to have some kind of collaboration between public-owned CCTV and privately owned CCTV. And that's the problem. Is there a policy around that? Are there regulations around that? In Nigeria today, there's a lot of CCTV.
Private
CCTV available. From,
Have we had cases where these footages were used to solve a crime?
So that's why I feel, we have had instances where, we experience some kind of theft. Okay. And then we've had to rely on private CCTV obtained. Okay, not through public. Private CCTV obtained, to which we provided it to the police, and the police were able to use it to get to the root of the matter. So the point is that we can be a lot more organized in trying to arrange that. Banks, public spaces, a lot of people have CCTV. We have to be able to put in place a policy or regulation that makes sure that.
Another policy.
How long do you keep the footage, for instance? Do you keep it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? There has to be some guidelines, some framework that allows for private run CCTV to combine with government run, to make it a lot more accessible.
You said, are they working? For fines, they're working. For traffic, they're working because people get SMSs about not traffic light, about especially the Third Mainland Bridge, and then when you traffic light, they will send you. But for saving life, I don't know. I wrote here for saving life, I'm not sure. That is if the average Nigerian life matters. That's it. If we matter, they will use it to piece things together. I watch a lot of criminal shows and programs like Crime and Investigation Channel 170, and all this sexual violence stuff, and how you're trying to find out what happened to a victim outside. The club doesn't have CCTV, but the shop across the road has CCTV. They go and approach them, get that, then piece it together and find out the timeline and use it to solve crimes. That is where we have to go to. I know. Please, I'm not saying the fine is not good, because I hate overspeeding and all of that. But can we also use it for the human face of Nigerians? Can we use it for the people? Not just trying to tax them, punish them, but can we use it to solve crimes? Can we use it in a wholesome way?
So it's a big city problem. Because in the moment you leave Lagos and Abuja, the government is still struggling to even feed the people. Not to talk of now saying, so we now come back and say we want to put 8 billion naira to the CCTV.
But they're putting the monies already, that's what I'm saying.
The citizens will carry stone and stone them.
Not knowing that it's for their benefits in the long run.
It's for their benefits in the long run. So I like what the truth about Smollett did. Adolescents also showed the same. I don't know if you watched the British documentary about the teenage boy who killed the girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was actually solved.
One small boy like this. Yes, I've watched it. Yeah.
It was solved the same way. In 2018, the only reason I know CCTV worked in Lagos, 2018, I was going from Ikeja, Awolowo to, what's it called? The ShopRite there.
Yeah.
At Ikeja City Mall.
Ikeja City Mall, yeah.
Yeah, and then as I was getting there, I received a text message that the car I was in had bit some traffic lights.
That's what she's saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I was shocked.
You will get it.
It wasn't even up to 5 minutes.
Yes.
That the text came in. I was quite impressed. And I would also like to say that the Nigerian police, they work when they are adequately motivated. I mean, the CCTV that you feel like is not there, when they are adequately motivated.
When they want to happen to you.
When they are adequately motivated. I can remember something that happened recently in my estate. CCTV showed a driver who was jumping, a living driver, jumping the fence to another compound to steal the box of their car. And it was CCTV, that they used to solve the problem. We are very far from having CCTV everywhere in Nigeria as a whole. Lagos State has done a whole lot in that space. Abuja also, they've done, but not even close to what Lagos has done. But yes, we will get there eventually.
It's pretty straightforward. You guys have said everything. It's a case of the hen before
the chicken or the egg, which one comes first?
And I think the problem of insecurity is one of our biggest problems. It's one of the biggest problems.
Right now.
We can all say that, right?
Yeah.
It also stops investment from coming into the country. So what should be the priority of the government, of any state government,
security.
Of any local government?
Security.
It's security, right? So, and it's not like it's hard, especially with technology. It's even face scanner that can scan your face to even know your expression, like what you're thinking now. It's happening in China, right?
Those people.
So investing in that is priority, because if you invest in security, then the environment is safer for people to thrive. That is a priority. I had one of the craziest experience during the AMVCA. I mean, you guys know AMVCA is packed, right? And so I was at the red carpet to take some videos, and I gave someone my glasses, this one. And when we're done, I was like, wait, where are my glasses? She's like, oh, I left it there. I'm like, it's gone. With that one people that was moving up and down, let's just leave it. Let's not try. So I was like, just go to the front desk and ask them and tell them, what happened. They found my glasses.
Oh, bless.
I was like, how is this possible? Because they went to CCTV and they found the person.
It was just them. They saw the person that's Someone took it. When I now checked the glasses, because it's AI glasses, I saw videos of the person that took it, because the moment you open it and you put it in your face, it takes videos. So he took a video of the person and I have it on my phone. But like, that's the power of security. You can actually find a lost item. And when people are conscious of the fact that I can be caught, nobody's trying to go and steal, knowing the fact that they're going to be caught. When you know,
it's a deterrent.
You will not want to work hard, because now thief no go work for you. So go and look for
a proper job
and work hard. So I think it's really important that our government see the value of making sure that the people are protected. But how you do that is to create systems that protect the people.
Thank you so much. And I think that also speaks to what you're saying in terms of policies around this technology, which is very important. But I might add that billions of naira has been budgeted and allocated for CCTV projects. My question is, are they working? And if they're working, are the police adequately trained? Because insecurity is at an all-time high right now, and we all want to be alive, We keep hearing that the future is tech. I'll add to this. The future is effective technology. In other words, technology used intelligently.
You're my playground, Elsie. Still on the topic that's very close to my heart, healing the system. Nigeria is one of the most religious countries in the world. Every week, millions of people gather in churches and mosques, pouring out prayers, offering sacrifices, and seeking hope. But here's the truth. If religion is really this powerful, why isn't it healing the system? Let me say this clearly. I'm not talking about spirituality. Faith is personal. Faith is powerful. What I'm saying is this: if our religious institution have more influence than any other structure in this country, and with that influence comes responsibility. Think about it. Over 100 million Christians and almost the same numbers for Muslims. Billions of naira flow into offerings and tithes every single week. By some estimates, Nigeria's religious economy is worth over 500 trillion. That's bigger than the budget of many states combined. Now imagine if just a fraction of that was channeled into the system. I remember as a teenager in teenage church where I learned skills that shaped who I am today. Photography, dance, public speaking, even teamwork. What if every religious organization had structured program that teaches coding, carpentry, fashion, or plumbing? Do you know how many jobs that could create? And let's talk money. What if churches and mosques pooled their resources into a cooperative bank, offering low-interest loan or even no-interest loans to help members start businesses? Islamic banking already modeled this. Why can't more churches follow? Religious leaders in Nigeria have unmatched influence. Their words can move elections. Their sermons can set a tone for culture. But real leadership is not just preaching hope. It is building systems that gives hope room to breathe. Healing Nigeria will not come from politics alone. It starts right here, right where we gather every week, in pulpits, in mosques, in places where people already trust leadership the most. Because maybe the real revival we're waiting for won't just come in our spirits. It'll come when faith is matched with systems that build people.
I said first, Romans 14:17 says the kingdom of God is not meat and drink, but that is what most of them have turned it into. It's just about money, prosperity. We've seen how those with influence have used it for their own gains. It's somehow human nature has set in. And for me, I'm not religious. I'm more of a spiritual person because religion is just, I don't know, tradition and just doctrines that are neither here nor there. But the human element comes into religion and makes it about self and not about the greater good, which is what it is clearly about. So you have said it, but I know that there's a place for churches. So yeah, they can create carpentry and all that. I mean, but even within the church itself, where do the members themselves find succor? They can't even go to some of the schools the churches built. Their children cannot go. But that's where all their offering and their tithes go to. You see them with their battered slippers, marching along, going for night vigil over night vigil. Yet, the word is not affecting their lives. So something has to give. And I'm thinking of Yinka. I don't know what he's going to say because he's on taxation and many things on the church. So I stand with him. You know, it has to be effective. Lives have to literally change. When you hear the word, it should come into your heart and cause a change in you. Some Christians, they are evil. I'm not even lying to you. Some people, they just don't want to do things with Christians, with people in the church, because they say, let me go with the serpent. I think the serpent is safer.
We have the serpent. We carry our rod at once.
At least you see the serpent coming. So it stands to reason that there is really a place, and indeed, like you said, it should cause a change. Nigeria has so many churches per capita, every street, every Friday, every Sunday, every Wednesday, every Friday. Why are we not changing? Why are we as a people not changing? Why are we not organized? Christ was organized. Why are we not having human empathy? He was. Why are we not friendly and helping ourselves? You know, why is it not affecting us, causing a change in our environment and the nation as a whole? There's something wrong somewhere. There's a disconnect.
The real revival we are waiting for won't just come in our spirit. It will come when faith is matched with systems that build people. I am also not a religious person. I'm more of a spiritual person. But I think religious spaces should be run like nonprofits at this point, since they are generating adequate income. Let them have clear impact areas. It is not enough to just talk. It is important to take action. Like every day you go on the pulpit, you go to talk about the change with desire. But then what are the churches, what are the mosques doing about this change? Have a clear impact area. Is it education you want to impact on? Is it grooming? Is it health? They absolutely need to do something. Just pick an impact area, and just stick with it. We cannot save the world, but you can choose a corner and create an impact, not just talk all the time.
I like that you spotlighted Islamic banking. I like what they do in terms of the non-interest loan that they give. I think that's one thing that I think maybe Christians can think about it and see how. It's not like they don't make money. There's a way of revenue. It's almost like, yes, our skin is in this business, so it means that it cannot fail. We're not just giving you money to go. We're giving you money because we understand that your business is profitable, and also sometimes they come in other areas in terms of infrastructure or whatever I need. So kudos to them. I really love it. The first time I heard about it, it was just mind-blowing, right? For churches, you mentioned something about how even the schools that the churches build, the members cannot attend. And it's ridiculous to me because I don't understand it. When we were growing up, we had Catholic schools. And the reason Catholic schools were there is because they were really affordable, strict with discipline. It was just amazing. But right now, I don't think we have a lot of that. Then we now have a lot more of Pentecostal churches. Then coming up with schools that are now so expensive. And it's not like the revenue is not there or that you cannot actually afford to have that system, even if it's not free, but really subsidized while they still get like a high standard of education. So I really hope that we can be Christian-like in the way that we do things, because unfortunately, that's not the case. But I also would like to say that there are churches that are doing a lot. Yeah. A lot, even if it's not publicly or it doesn't go viral. They cater to widows, orphans, are paying their school fees.
They cater to the old churches, people and prison ministry, especially old people.
Thank you. You just mentioned prison ministry. Yeah. So I have a friend who is very big in prison ministry. She's been doing it now for about 8 years. She goes there every Thursday, and every end of the year there's a party for them. She represents them legally and all that. And she told me a story of one of the young men she brought out of prison. Of course, she has a law firm. So the firm represented him and he came out. They gave him everything. And one of these churches, very big church, you probably know the church, that does prison reforms as well, went to this young man, promised him heaven and earth, and wanted him, of course, they wanted him to say that they were the ones that brought him out. He did all these things, and they never gave him any of those things they promised him. It was just a case of, we needed a video, to announce. So, like you said, in church, a lot is happening that should not be happening. And I hope that, again, we
don't want to mention the church.
Let me not mention because they are very big. So let's be Christ-like. I think that's the crux of what you're saying.
You and Zumah owe me some things.
Let's be Christ-like in what we're doing. Over to you.
So it's important to establish some facts. Religious organizations today, whether they are churches or they are mosques, they are whatever, they are classified as faith-based organizations, and they are registered under the Part F of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. And they are registered as incorporated trustees. And there's a reason why I stress that, because they're not registered as charity organizations or churches or religious bodies. They're registered in the same way NGOs are registered, okay? Non-governmental bodies under incorporated trustees. And there are requirements prescribed by law for them. Now, when they come in to say, I want to get registered, okay, they come in with their constitution. Their constitution includes their object. Their object is basically saying, this is the reason why
we have
started this church. And for most of them, and I'm talking about someone who has worked with a lot of churches in trying to help them in their registration process. And what you see in their objects are things like, we're going to help to educate people. We're going to help the widows to get them sorted. We're going to help the sick. We're going to help in alleviating poverty. And these are the things that is there. And this is what they say to the CSC, that we're going, this is the reason why we want to be registered as a church. Of course, it also includes we want to share religious education and all that. The question I always ask them is that at the end of the day, when you look at your finances in terms of your revenue okay, your income and your expenses, what percentage of that is dedicated to your object? Because that tells you that this is really why we are doing this. And you're right, a lot of them are doing prison reform, prison ministry. If you go to them, they'll tell you, oh, we're spending a lot of money. I don't have a problem with them spending a lot of money. The question is, what is the percentage of that? If at the end of the day, that percentage of expenses doesn't make more than 5% of your expenses, and the larger percentage is going into administration and taking care of the body itself, what I call the industrial complex that you have created, then that's a problem. And that's where we need to have serious conversations. And I'm one of the advocates of saying the church needs to have its own church room moment, where it has to sit down, look within itself, and ask the question: are we really representing?
Are we making an impact?
Are we really making an impact? Yes. And the story I want to just use, to wrap up, is the fact of this story in the Bible of when Jesus fed the 5,000.
Yes.
Where before then, the disciples came to him and said, you know what, these guys have been with us all day.
Send them away.
We can't feed them. We can't do that. Let's send them away. And they were making a very rational, decision because they couldn't feed them. Couldn't. But then Jesus gave them an example. He said, no, don't send them away. Feed them. Okay? And I said that what we do today in a lot of our religious bodies, is that we gather them together every Sunday. We tell them that their problems are going to be solved. We collect their offerings and their tithes, and at the end of the day, we send them away.
With their problems.
No, we have the resource, and I say that confidently. We have the resource to make sure that we give solutions, not just prayer, but solutions to education, to healthcare issues, to even employment. Instead of using the ushers or whatever to sweep the church, get people inside the church to do it and pay them. You can afford to pay them, okay? Instead of you saying they should go, just come together and pray for them, whatever, you can get clinics, all right, that attend to them, which is already in your object. So my appeal really to faith-based organization is just simple. Go to your constitution, look at your object, and start to live it.
Made to Measure speaks of intentional design and execution. We are intentional about being part of the change we want to see. Are you? Then join us again, same time next week at the table. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us.
And cheers.
Bye.
Bye.